He's calling crypto beanie babies. Like, what's the story there? Good old Brian Armstrong from Coinbase, CEO, is comparing crypto to beanie babies, baseball cards, land. It's just a transfer of wealth. That's all it is. Or I'll get into the article very shortly. But does it kind of is a bit of a surprising thing, is it not? This guy, his business, his stock, his company, $20 billion market cap, going about throwing these stupid comments about crypto. Does he not realize that cryptocurrency is all about endorsement? What happened in the last bull run? Everyone just jumped on the crypto bandwagon. Mad love and respect to everyone passing through to today. I have an announcement for you. This will be my last live. So I'm going to be going over a few things as I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break, but I will be checking in with you all, so don't worry about that. I ain't going to be completely off the radar. When Bitcoin moves, that's when I talk, or the other way around. When I stop talking, Bitcoin moves. That's a funny story. So today, what we're going to do is break down the logic of what to expect with Bitcoin from now going in towards the start of the weekend. We know that the weekend can bring a little bit of flavor in the charts, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to dive into certain areas of interest in Bitcoin that I believe Bitcoin could actually take. And the market just had some news, and it's not looking good, man. Dollar dominance is still shooting back up again, and the NASDAQ and the S&P have taken a tumbler to the downside. So without further ado, let's have a conversation. Chat, what's going on? I've got the chat right up in front of me. So what do you guys think about this Coinbase story? I'll be getting into that article in a split second, but I want to check in with the pattern watchers. I hope everyone's doing well. How's your trading week been? That's what's more important. And I ain't looking so hot. Well, actually, no, I'm saying I'm not sweating, man. I think I'm a humble guy. Okay, I'm a little bit reserved. You know, I like my own company. I'm not out there as much, but you know, I'm not sweating today. Okay, I'm cool today. Today I am cool. Body temperature is at par. I got the AC running. That bad boy's on, and my throat's probably going to dry out very shortly. So what's going on? What's up, Big Daddy Greek God? What do I say to that? I want a $20 tier Tino. Okay. No worries. We'll sort something out. This week, 1K. Okay, no hand is up. 1K for the week. Happy days. That's good. That's good. No losses this week. Profits banked. All swing trades. Stop losses in profit. That's what I want to be hearing. I like that kind of flavor. Made 7% on my account following Tino's hybrid system. First week in Forex 2 away from. Happy days, Rhea. That's the flavor. That's what we want to hear. What's going on, Mullican? Mullican Designs? I'm going to sneeze. No, I'm not. No, I am. Yes. I'm good. I'm good. Wow. That's coming out of vengeance. That is literally attacking my nasal cavity. It wants to come out and just smack the screens. I'm joking. I'll do daily streams. Yes, I will be doing the daily streams for the patrons. I'll be doing mainly live streams for the patrons to check in with them, to get them prepared for the New York lives every day. I will be 2 hours ahead, so that gives me plenty of time to catch up with things. But I will be doing a video every now and then on the channel to check in with everyone. But like I said, Bitcoin will probably not move. Why? Because it's holiday season for Mr. Market Maker. Usually the charts tend to calm down around this time of year. They like to go away, and then we get ready for the third and final quarter. Sorry, the final quarter going into September, October, and all that madness. So it's going to be a bit of a quiet time. What else have we got? Tino spreading awareness. Papa bless this man with all the happiness and love. Mad love to you, man. Mad love to you. Attacking the nasal passage like a knife. Bro, also, listen. 9-inch wick. I'm going to get a T-shirt that says that, the 9-inch wick. I'm going to get it done, you know? Waking up for the brinks. How many of you are actually waking up right now, tuning in for your morning flavor? I should become a news anchor. That's what I'm going to be working towards. I want to be a news anchor, a trader news anchor. I'll be like shouting away with the charts, but giving you the flavor and what to expect with Bitcoin. I can't take myself seriously. You know how it is. All right then, ladies and gentlemen, listen. I see that you're all doing very well. Now we need to dive into the charts and break down what we can expect from Bitcoin. So I'm going to move this bad boy. Don't worry, I'm going to keep an eye out on you guys. I'm going to be keeping an eye out on chat. Let's expand the screens and understand what the story is to what you are here for. So, we have a couple of areas of interest in Bitcoin that will always grab my attention, and we always have to look back at the at the start of the week to understand how they are trying to finish, okay? Every time I come to the charts, and every Saturday I do a weekly outlook on Bitcoin, it all starts with the psychological range, okay, which currently sits between 29,104 and then, of course, 29,037. They've moved away from the psychological range at the start of the week, as you can see, to come down to aggressively move back up again. And they're only doing that because this area right here has a lot of interest in terms of stops. Traders are in short positions, and their liquidations are being hit continuously, okay? Now, before we go into the idea of what we can expect from Bitcoin, I'm going to address it now, okay? Here's the article. This is where he's starting to say cryptos are like beanie babies. The article goes on to discuss how he thinks that cryptocurrency is like it's an asset sale, okay? Goes on to say that's it. It's akin to the sale of a parcel of land, the value of which may fluctuate after the sale, or a condo in a new development, or an American Girl doll, or a Beanie Baby, or a baseball card, okay? No doubt Coinbase missed the moment to capitalize on the Barbie buzz. That's taking the piss. People have put their livelihood into cryptocurrency. And this brother right here, who runs a market cap, look, this is it. Let me just show you just how to take this guy seriously, okay? $19.7 billion market cap. 844 funds have got this stock. They are actively trading this stock. 844 funds, right? That tells me that good old Brian Armstrong is only in to provide the service that the stock is about. It's all about a platform to invest crypto assets, mainly institutions, retail users, and what have you. But you've got the SEC gunning for Coinbase, all right? And it's like he's saying, you know what, I'm done with it all. I don't care anymore. I'm just going to focus on my service. He's talking about another service that they're providing called Prime, okay, which is another brokerage, a secondary market exchange, and through Prime, there is no investment of money coupled with the promise of future of delivery of anything. He's only interested in the transactions that his platform enables, because that's how these exchanges make their money. They make their money on the transactions that happen from when you buy and sell your cryptocurrency, all right? Cheers, Brian. Thanks for being the optimist about crypto, calling it the Beanie Baby. Not many people will like the idea or even hear that word. But come on, man, who are you shooting for here? You know? We'll see how that story develops. I guess if the SEC turns around and says, don't worry, Brian, we're not going to be on your back anymore. He's going to be, yeah, Bitcoin is the future. Ethereum is the future. But this guy's going into complete old school fashion, exchange, make me my money when you buy and sell. And that's the service he provides. Capitalism 101. That's the story. So, Bitcoin. Couple of areas of interest. Firstly, we've got a red vector candle zone right here, okay? That's important. That's an imbalance. They aggressively sold from this point to only build longs, but they haven't gone back to that zone. Bitcoin is doing well to hold inside of this area. Now, if you remember yesterday, we spoke about the idea that we anticipated Bitcoin to try and move up to try and bring price back down again. We got that flavor in the chart, and that was from yesterday. Lots of traders got taken out. They went long. They also went short, but they got liquidated. And then they went long, and then they got liquidated again. The sad story of the market maker's business model. Can we use this idea right here to assume that that could potentially be the case for today? So, right now, Bitcoin on the 1 hour time frame, the rule says that if Bitcoin is below the moving averages, specifically the 1 hour 50 EMA, and that's this cloud right here, the 50 EMA is right here, that blue line. The cloud tells you about the volatility, or the trend for the better word. If it cannot get above that point, then we would deem this area as a point of resistance, okay? Now, we've got a red vector candle sat in that zone, okay? At most, we could assume that if they're going to make a run to the stops to the upside, because remember, inside of here, there's liquidity. Take the midpoint of this candlestick, all right? That means at 29,569, this is where, in principle, the vector candle became a vector. So we can assume that they started to mark price down at that point. Okay? Now, if we go into the time frame or go into smaller time frames to understand how this candlestick developed, we can then come to an assumption and say, okay, well, let's see how likely price can come back up towards that point, right? Go to the 5-minute time frame, zoom out. What do you see happening? Well, this is that red vector on the 1 hour. You can see right here, there's not really that many vector candles, but they're at the lowest point. And at the lowest point is where they decided to pull back ever so slightly, and now they're consolidating inside of this zone. So we can assume that this area right here might be an area where price might find resistance. Although they're recovering the vector candle right here on the 1 hour time frame, okay, we can make that assumption and say that they could effectively sweep the liquidity, move up, recover the imbalance that's right here. Then we will know if they plan to break lower. In other words, has this week effectively been set up for Bitcoin to just come down? And if they're going to do it, today could be the day that they do it. Now remember, the S&P and NASDAQ, they've been moving up and down. But NASDAQ has been progressively working lower. They come into the green vector candle we spoke about yesterday, happy days. And they are breaking critical structures right now because this is the last area, in my opinion, where the NASDAQ really needs to hold, because otherwise, if it can't hold this bad boy, it's yippee-ki-yay to the downside. Institutional fund managers are offloading their stock. They're getting rid of their assets. How do we understand that to be the case? Well, if we go over to the bonds market, you can see that the bonds are slowly but surely filling that gap. I'm telling you, they're going to fill that gap. And that's a sad story because the bonds go down, the yields move up. And look at that. It's still going. We've got inversion on the yields, ladies and gentlemen. 10-year yields. Look at that. 4.14%, or we get 4.89%, nearly close to 5. So if I give you £1 million and I say to you, go and put this money somewhere so it's in a safe environment, where are you going to go? You're going to go to the bonds market. You're going to try and find out what can you get over a 2-year. You'll get 4.89%. You go to a 10-year. You get 4.1. I ain't going to give you my money at 10 years. No, thank you. I'm going to chuck it into the 2-year. I earn more money in a shorter period of time. Yield curve inversion. That means there's a change in the way money is going in and out of the marketplace. Because if investors aren't putting their money into the government bonds, and the bonds are effectively a basket of treasuries that are made up of stocks, commodities, you name it, if they're not putting their money in there and it's a risk, a very low risk in, asset class, then where they're going to put their money? They're going to put their money into dearly beloved dollar. They're going to sit in cash. And even the yields, some guys are even talking about the idea of a 6% on the yields. 2-year yield, 6%. That can happen. Back in the 80s, I think it was the 90s, it went to 10. So we're not going into territories that we ain't familiar with. It all depends on just how bad the situation is. Now, we had some news announcements today, and they're showing core PPI came up. What's core PPI? Well, this is the change in price of finished goods and services sold by producers, excluding food and energy. When it's up, it's good for the currency. But in this circumstance, it's not. Why? Because then it means that we could effectively get another increase in inflation. That means the Fed is going to increase interest rates yet again. That means investors are going to, or foreign investors are going to start putting their money into the dollar because the exchange rate is going to be more lucrative for them, which can bring the value of assets in the US to increase. But we're effectively at a point where the Fed isn't going to have to make a decision. Because if they keep increasing the interest rates, then the economy is going to slow down. Foreign investment ain't going to get so involved in there anymore. They're going to take their money out and go elsewhere. So this is the problem that we've got with the Federal Reserve. This is what they're effectively trying to establish. Okay? Now, dollar dominance is starting to work its way up, and you can see it's got a few more zones for it to take. That means that euro is going to have a little bit of a problem climbing, starting to work its way down. We've got pound sterling, same story. And they just recently increased their interest rates. Naturally, you'd want to see investment in the British pound itself, but doesn't look like it's working in their favor. Okay? Going into the idea of oil. Oil is still trying to do its thing. It's moving up. So those of you that trade oil or are invested in oil stocks, Go and check out oil stocks because oil is climbing. It's usually the clue that things might actually turn for the worst. If you go to the S&P, I did a video on my channel. There's a video on my channel called The Market Crash Theory, okay? And I said that the S&P at the time, I did the video and the S&P was around 4,200. And I said that I believe that the S&P is going to be repeating the same thing that it did in 2007, 2008, where there's a problem in the financial world. High interest rates, slowdown in businesses, money supply, similar to exactly what happened back in 2007, 2008. We're coming up to that zone, which is the market crash zone. Things are starting to pull back. So that might actually come into fruition. My theory is that on 2007, 2008, where we are there, okay, right now is where we are here, is where we were back in 2007, 2008. That's what my logic is. Because at this time right here, they declared the subprime mortgage crisis and said there's a problem. No one took it seriously. Everyone was buying. Everyone was going for it. But market makers, smart money, were selling into retail. So let's see if that's going to come into fruition, ladies and gentlemen. I hope not. But if history repeats itself, that's usually what we're going to be seeing. Okay? Now, going on to the daily time frame. Are we good with that, chat? Are we good with that? Are we good with that? Randy, what are you asking? I see it because a vector while watching in real time, but you can't go back in time, possibly know when it changed to a vector. Could have been the beginning of the candle, middle, or even the end time-wise. Okay, in response to that, the way you can tell it when it becomes a vector candle is you look at the time frame. So you get the 15-minute chart, the 5-minute chart, the 1-minute chart. When you see things starting to develop, you might see me sometimes say on the live streams, this should turn into a vector candle, okay? And we're talking about it on the 15-minute time frame. Now, on the 5-minute time frame, it could have been building up. There could have been 2 vector candles, all right? So 3 candlesticks can make up a red vector candle on the 15-minute time frame. The 1-hour time frame effective is going to be 4 15-minute candlesticks, 25-minute candlesticks. So it's all about how you effectively work out when the vector starts. Drop down a time frame to try and see how it develops. And we go back in history and you'll see that every time a vector candle appears, when you take the midpoint of that candlestick, it usually bounces from that zone, okay? Because history repeats itself. We just don't know when and if it's going to be exactly the same way. So I hope that makes sense if it is you answering the question. Can clue you into when it becomes yes. Where's the fake call from Steve? I ain't having Steve call me no more. He gave us a bit of flavor yesterday in the live stream, which we kind of gave you the heads up on, which he was very favorable for us. He did say to us he had a couple of boys down at the lows loading up some positions. So we're going to have a look at that bad boy right now to see if that's going to be the case for BTC. All right. So it looks like we don't really have that. Well, maybe we do. Okay. We have. Ooh, very good. Okay, now, listen. This is where it gets interesting. The profile is getting wider, okay? It's Friday. It's Friday, yeah. What a clown. The profile effectively is showing me that there appears to be someone that wants this zone to get filled, okay? Look, they are inconsistent. They keep opening and closing the orders. This is the Bookmap. If you want the Bookmap, go check out bookmap.com. All you need, everything, the links are in the description of the video. But the Bookmap gives you the clue to where the commitment could, and the operative word being could, play to. Here, someone wants to get their orders filled. Now, it looks like it's an algorithm, which it could be a single entity. It could be Steve loading up his positions. It could be a market maker company back in Austria. It could be another market maker company in US, UK. Who knows? And the only reason being is because it's like a sequence of orders that are being placed and cancelled simultaneously. Okay? See this order up here? 875 Bitcoin orders. That could be one guy. That could be a market making house. Who knows? But this area right here, there seems to be an area of interest. Someone wants to get their orders filled. So the logic would say that we expect Bitcoin to do what? Similar to yesterday's price action. If Bitcoin is going to move up today, ladies and gentlemen, we need to see it go down. Okay, so let's get the time frame up. Here we are. We need to see Bitcoin at the start of the marketplace move down to move up. If they're going to move down, they're going to move up first, because the Bookmap's not really showing that much commitment. I mean, if we just zoom out a little bit, you can see that we had a big commitment all the way up here, mad commitment at 30,700, and that order got cancelled. So the idea is that if they do decide to go higher, they should sweep the liquidity first and then move, because this is an area that they can get orders filled. Remember, the job of the exchange is to make sure that he matches your money with market maker's money. Market maker's obligation is to make sure that he's got the money there waiting at the ping of an ounce, whatever that means. Okay? That's his goal. The exchange is effectively going to feed that liquidity to market maker to match. He gets his cut on your back. That's the name of the business, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Now, upon closer inspection, we can see that Bitcoin is trying it at the VWAP right now. Let's go into the profile of Bitcoin to understand what we've got, because Bitcoin doesn't do nothing until we finish the live stream. So we might as well just go and have a look at that bad boy. So here we go for my guys who are in the game of EXO charts and this madness right here. Let me just get BTC up for you. Okay, then. So in front of you, we've got the profile for Bitcoin. All right. So ignore this chart right here and focus on this. This is Bitcoin's profile. So it says that we haven't had that much of a move. There's nowhere to find value. Where can we say there is an agreement in price? Well, right now, the point of control is at 29,400, okay? If the guys here are favoring higher prices, price will come back down to 29,400 to grab the liquidity, to test the liquidity, to prove if the liquidity is present, to keep it there. In other words, will the buyers step in? That's what we're looking at right here. If there are enough buyers inside of this zone, market maker might mark price down lower to come back and attack the vector candle zone that sits inside of this area, which happens to be this area at 29,320. Okay? Right now, Bitcoin is at 29,446. The point of control shows at 29,400, 1,200 contracts. Okay? So we really need Bitcoin to hold this zone. We need Bitcoin to try and get above the daily open, but they've been using the daily open as a little bit of a battering ram. Why? Because they keep on going up to it to reject it. That's kind of giving me an idea that they're going to drop down price today, and that could be on the cards. Looking at the S&P and the NASDAQ, they're going down. Bitcoin ain't doing anything. Now, some of us might think of it and say, you know what? Maybe Bitcoin is a hedge, but Bitcoin will follow suit. That's the issue that I've got. Yes, ping of an ounce, whatever that means. Why would he say Austria? Because there are market makers in Austria. There's market makers all over the place. Size of market makers varies. Okay? If you Google right now, where are there market makers? Okay? You'll see there's a PDF that actually tells you where the market makers are in the world that are under certain governance. I'm trying, because I'm going to Cyprus. I'm going into this Nicosia. I'm going to go and try and hunt down a couple of these crypto exchanges that are registered out there. I'm going to try and pull a few strings and see what I can get. And I've noticed that there are no registered market makers out there in Cyprus. Now, Cyprus is a bit of it's a haven for exchanges because the laws are a little bit more relaxed when it comes to setting up an exchange out there. But it still costs a little bit of a penny or two. Okay? So when you're with a broker, make sure that there is legislation behind them, that they've got FSA, Financial Services Authority regulations, Cypriot regulations, and what have you. There are regulations in place, but it's also a safe haven as well. So just keep an eye on that. I'm going to try and go out there and try and hunt down some market makers that could be in that place and just have a conversation with them. But then again, it'll probably be an uncle or something. So we'll have to talk about other shit and what have you. But yeah, that's another story. Yo, Tino, how to interpret a green vector, then a violet vector, then a blue vector. Okay? All right. Green vector, violet vector, what? All at the same time? As in, if they all appear all at the same time? That's what I need to know. I'm in the UK with FCA registered for my Forex. Yes, the reason I say you've got to make sure that you keep an eye on the regulation is because you could go with an unregulated broker. You can make a ton of cash. They are not obligated to pay you. They can say, oh, there's something wrong with our payment system. You're there like, oh, okay, no worries. Happy days, cool. And you keep on trying to withdraw, bro. And they ain't giving you your money. It happened to me. when they used to offer 5,000 to 1 leverage. Oh, my days. You know? Yes, all at the same time. Okay, then. So if you get vector candles like that all at the same time, this could... Here we go. This could be an example. All right? You see this zone right here? This zone is effectively clean manipulation. All right? Up and down, up and down. Just look at the profile of how they move price in this area. When you get a green vector candle, then a red vector candle, price stalls, then a violet appears, then the blue vector candle appears, there's going to be a manipulative play. They're effectively loading up their positions. The blue vector candle gave us effectively the clue that they were going to get ready to drop price down. However, if you've been in the Patreon, you'll know that when the psychological levels form, this is what we anticipate. We anticipate the false move above or below the vector, the psychological levels. They did it right here. And if you notice, they moved up to come down to move up again. That would be deemed as the false move. And that's when the psychological levels are formed. Once those levels are formed, you wait to see if they can come back into the range. Like this, they came back into the range, retrace, and then they spiked lower. Monday, false move, week beginning, and then they shifted out to the upside. Okay? So when you see all these vectors coming into action at once, know it's a manipulative move. Just let them move away from that zone. The further they move away from it, the more clarity you'll get about how they're trying to play this range. Notice they marked price up to bring it down so that they could trap the traders short, come back into the vector candle wick recovery to then only see price reverse and make the move to the upside. It's behavior you're looking for. Don't look too much to the candlestick because there's 101 ways to trade the hybrid. Trust me, I know. And there's ways that I can show you that will completely transform the way you see the charts. I ain't even mentioned some of the bad boy stuff that I know about the hybrid system. Little things that change everything. From trading certain ranges inside the cloud, from only using the 200 EMA, from only using the 5 and 13 EMA. There's so many ways that you can trade the hybrid system. It's about finding what way works for you. I've got guys that have only learned 10% of the hybrid system and they're smashing it. What a story. Could you imagine? You know? So, why do market makers respect market structure? Because they can't change their business model. Okay? They can't. Why? Because human nature will always be the same. Look, if Mr. Market Maker is marking up price, he's inducing traders to go long. He then will have an obligation to make sure that he sells into these guys. If he sells continuously into these people and keeps on marking price higher and higher and higher, the problem that he's got, yeah, he's getting his shorts built at the highest possible point, but at the same time, the guys that stepped in at this point right here are now in very good profits. So that means they're going to be closing off the margins that have been opened inside of here. Remember, when you go long, your margins or your liquidation points are all the way down here because everyone's using leverage. Now, the higher that market maker keeps on going, okay, the more likely this margin is going to disappear. So that means he has to keep on marking up. So that's why you see the presence of wicks, stopping volume candles, certain structures that show over and over again where they move up to one point and then they reverse because they have to stick to their obligation of filling orders for the exchange as well as themselves. They play with their own cash as well. They ain't just providing a service. They're making money on the backs of these trades as well. And they only profit from small transactions, guys. Do you understand that? They're working on the spread. They can make millions of dollars on a 2-pip spread by just keeping price in a static zone. Bang, up, down, up, down, up, down. Order filled, close, bang. Order filled, close, short, bang. That's how they do it. And these are algorithms. Not no dude pressing a button other with the exception of me when I finish my live stream and I press my button and everything drops or goes up. That's a different story. I've got different market maker facilities right here. I'm telling you, man, I've got my buttons right here where I press and the price moves. And I ain't doing it yet. Market is open, by the way. You're letting me chat away, man. What's going on? Give us something, Tino. I got you. Here we go. All right, then. So, remember what we said. We spoke about the Bookmap. We spoke about the value area low, the point of control right here at 29,400. The logic is saying that we got commitment down here. People are favoring certain areas in the chart to get their limit buys filled at lower prices. We haven't got an imbalance yet on the market, on the order book, okay? So if we start seeing that as green at the top, then it will tell us that the limit buys are coming into action, okay? So we're going to be waiting to see if Bitcoin is going to bring us the flavor and start marking price down lower. Remember, we got this vector candle wick and Bitcoin is prone to spikes, so just keep an eye out on that. Take the 50% zone of this and go by that logic and assume that if Bitcoin is going to try and come up, this will be a stop run. It will be a stop run because that's what they've been doing throughout the week. The idea is that Bitcoin is likely to come down based on what we're looking at in terms of the orders. Look, wicks, there's clearly money down here for them to come and grab. If they're going to move back up, they need to move it down first. Green vector candle wick right here is where the flavor is at. That's what I'm looking for. They've rejected the daily several times, okay? The only thing that will verify Bitcoin moving up is if it can clear the 800 EMA right now on the 5-minute time frame. That's the only way we can verify Bitcoin moving up, because then it will be coming away from this zone. But if it can't clear that 800 EMA, like I said to you guys yesterday, wait for them to clear the daily open. They didn't touch the daily open. No, the day before. They didn't take that daily open. Bitcoin continued lower. If you went long, if price went above the daily open, then you would have taken your long. But it didn't. It didn't go anywhere near it. That was the trigger. And you always got to say to yourself, if they're doing one thing and not following through, it means they're preparing for something else. If you're coming to the chart waiting for Bitcoin to go up, why does it keep moving down? And if it is moving down, why is it not moving further? So that means they could be getting retail to believe something. Okay? Do they want retail to believe prices are going up? All you got to do is just look at higher timeframes and make that assumption and say, okay, can we think Bitcoin's going up? Maybe. Maybe, because we are right now at the 50 EMA. It's flat. It's volatility. There's zero volatility here. That means it's a guess from the 4-hour time frame. You're waiting for the first bout of volatility. Now, on the 5-minute time frame, it's a different story because we always get volatility on the smaller time frames. Okay? We can capitalize on that. You just got to be very careful with the decision that you make and what time frame you make it off. Don't go to the 4-hour time frame and make a decision on your trading, right, off the 1 minute. If you're basing it off the 4-hour, you stick to the 4-hour. You take your trades off the 4-hour, you stick to the 4-hour, because you're taking into consideration a much bigger picture, okay? Bitcoin might move up for 2 hours before it actually plays out on the idea of what you think is going to happen on the 4-hour, all right? You've got to take that into consideration. Are we cool with that? You're new here. Cyberpunk money. You want me to have a look at AVAX? Let's actually have a look at what altcoins are actually bringing the flavor today. Okay, here we go. Look, where's the volume at, man? Kind of get me thinking that Brian Armstrong knows what he's talking about, man. Look, there's no volume. 15 million on Ethereum, 30 million on Bitcoin, 23, 19, 58. Where's the money? It's not there. Let me just go over into AVAX for my guy. What have we got here? If you want me to look at any altcoins, guys, put them in the chat and I'll have a look at some altcoins. Right, we got sideways price action on AVAX, sat in its psychological range. Listen, when you're dealing with an asset that's trading inside of this range right here, the psychological high and low, keep away from it. Don't trade it. Why? Because they're building. They're getting ready for something. Maybe next week they make the move. But as of play right now, they're holding out inside the range. You need to see them clear this range right here at $12.19 to really assume that they're going to make a move. But they're still inside this zone, so it's telling me that they're manipulating it and building positions inside of here. So just wait for the first break, clear break away from this range. Okay? What else have we got? Have a look at Solana. Let's have a look at Solana. I know a lot of people are talking about Solana, and Solana's doing okay for the time being. Got ourselves a nice little play right here. There's a little bit of a structure that could come into action. There's an M formation right here. We've got several hits to the high, no follow through. Green vectors not going up. In other words, they're not clearing previous areas to make higher ground. They're holding at the 50 EMA, going to smaller time frames. What you're looking for in principle is you really need Solana to break above the daily open. The problem is you've got a blue vector candle down here that could be an issue for us, all right? So just be mindful of that. It's a blue vector down there. So there's interest inside of this zone. They could sweep that area very soon. They'll move it up before they move it down, okay? What else have we got? No worries, Cyberpunk. Let's have a look at ALGO. What we got? Not really much. Sideways, man. 11 cents. Yeah, moving averages flat, away from the psychological ranges. Logic would say that we'd expect them to come back into the psychological range if they can't sustain this zone. There is a vector candle up there which they could initiate a stop run first. But what you're looking for is you're looking for effectively the first break away from the moving averages. The moving averages are flat, so you don't have any volatility. Okay, that's the issue. Lady for my ladies. Is that actually an asset? Lady for my ladies. Is that what you're talking about? Really? Have I been done there? Look at Dogecoin. Dogecoin. 1 hour time frame. Sideways. Again, altcoins seem to be holding out, which is saying to me, Bitcoin, it's going to be a quiet day, I think, in crypto. Maybe after I finish the live, that could be the case. Let's go to gold for a second. Gold holding out. Let me have a look at Tesla. Tesla doing any good? Tesla's gap down, so that already sets the tone for the market. Oil moving up a little bit. NASDAQ going lower. Sad days. S&P, yep, same story, going lower, swiping the liquidity down at the lows. Google's bringing a little bit of pressure. Got a couple of gaps that they need to fill. That is a problem for us. So they could actually go into Google's gap. So be mindful of that. All right, you need to be checking out the volatility index in this instance. Volatility index is still holding lower. I want to see it moving up to suggest assets are going down. Okay, comp. Let's have a look at comp. I like how comp moves sometimes. Here we go. $55. Trade away from so it's rejecting the psychological low. So from now on until the weekend, until the next bout of new psychological ranges, make sure you mark off on comp. Make sure you mark off the 57.34 zone, because the start of the new psychological range will tell you if this area is still going to be an area of resistance, because that's where they effectively sold from. They keep selling from this area, all right? So we just got to be mindful of that. They could be preparing to go long, all right? So just be mindful for any spikes lower, swipe to return back up. But keep an eye on that 57.34. Kareem, how you doing, my bro? You shorted CAS at 51... and apt at 784. All right, let's have a look at CAS USDT. Here we go. You shorted at 50. Okay. Shorted at 51. 51 cents. No, not 51 cents. Okay, you may have put that wrong. No worries. I read that wrong. All right, then. So what have we got? So, okay, 51. Okay, cool. So, right. You're short from that point. Awesome. Moving averages are fanned out. You've got vector candle zones down here. If Bitcoin actually drops, the altcoins, of course, will start to drop as well. Hopefully they don't, but it will usually follow suit. S&P is going down. Bitcoin is going to pull a move, guys. I'm telling you, Bitcoin is going to pull a move because there's too much pressure to mark the S&P and the NASDAQ lower, man. I really want to do that. What else? APT. I spoke to you guys about APT yesterday. How's that bad boy doing? Look at that. Told you. Pay yourselves. Take the money. There's that midpoint of that vector candle. Remember, patrons, what I said. If it doesn't take the full vector, it doesn't give you an even distribution of vector, okay? Look what happens. It doesn't get respected, so they go back down into that zone. Look at what they've done with this asset. Let's go into BTC. What's good old Bitty doing? Here we go. Now, we got in some movement lower on Bitcoin. All right. It's Friday, man. Legacy markets, a dog. I'm going to wait for a little bit. So, look, Bitcoin again's rejected the daily open. So, there's not much flavor inside of that zone. Okay? Now, with that being said, guys, once we get off the live, you know what the flavor is. What we got here? You want the flavor? Quantum Stonk, RTG, or QBTS? Dave Quantum, okay. That's interesting. That is very interesting. Canadian company that develops and delivers quantum computing systems, software, and services. That might be a good shout, bro. That is very interesting. What else you got? RTG. RTGI. Okay. I'm not getting it. RTI. Oh. Here we go. Rigetti Computing. Okay. Interesting. Provides application software and hardware for design and control quantum computers over the cloud. Or Google just recently smashed it with their cloud sales. Next Google? Who knows? Nice little shout out there, bro. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's go into the Bookmap for a second. We need to try and understand if Bitcoin is going to actually come and sweep this liquidity. Have they kept it there still? Book is not in balance yet. I think it's because I need to get off the live. Okay. Whilst we're waiting for that bad boy, remember, guys, there's a course that you guys can take, okay? When you become a patron, you get access to the masterclass sessions, okay? Ignore the shorts because they're getting, well, you do get access to the shorts, but we're getting those moved, okay? Those are short videos on the hybrid system, all right? But as a patron, you get access to the masterclass sessions. You get the live trading videos where I'm trading live on S&P, NASDAQ, Euro, Pound, and put concepts together about the hybrid system that you can learn and check out. A few of them are quite long, about an hour. Some of them are shorter, but you get that access with the Patreon itself. But more importantly, go take the course. The course is free to take. 923 people are bringing the flavor with that bad boy. They like it. They're learning everything you need to know about the hybrid system if you are new to the channel. Get through it. There's quizzes in there as well. And I've sorted out a couple of the quizzes in there because a couple of things were a little bit tricky on the quizzes, but I've sorted all of that out anyways, okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be checking in with you all next week. Keep an eye out on your notifications. Please trade safely. Mad love and respect. Peace.